We are back on Morning Line. It is Monday. This is Dsvidson County Sheriff Daron Hall. Good to have you on with us
Thank you,
this
Nick.
morning.
Happy to be here.
It's like a tradition. You come on and Joe calls. Good morning, Joe. How are you?
Good morning, Nick and Sheriff.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
Oh, good. I just wanted to thank you for giving the people rides for St. Patrick's Day, and ask you a question about: is there any movement on the moving the jail out on Harding Place? I hadn't heard anything else about it since, I guess, the last time, maybe time 2 years on, and nobody seems to talk. It's been about 4 or 5. I know policemen got shot here lately, just making traffic stops or whatever, just walking up to the car and somebody get out, just pull out a gun and shoot them. Nobody seems to say much about that when that happens. And see what your take is on that, and say hello to Pop.
Hey, Joe is, by the way, I'll sure pass on. One thing about the sober route thing I always want people to remember is that our staff aren't paid a penny. They give up their holiday to do that. It's from 9 o'clock at night till 2 in the morning, and we had nearly 100 staff doing that. And just a really good service, and again, I think it keeps the street safe, but also a very nice project. So I'll pass that on, Joe. I appreciate that. Really, Nick, one thing I do, I'm leaving here this morning. I have my budget hearing with the mayor at 11 o'clock this morning, and one of the things that I think Joe hinted to it is that there's a report coming out here, I suspect very soon, within a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, that will be presented to the mayor, that has been in the works for over a year now. And it really has been evaluating the whole system that we have, and I'm talking really primarily about the sheriff's office, from the facilities that we house inmates in to all the functions. We're in 8 different locations right now. But primarily the CJC, which is right behind us. The report is going to, I know for sure, it's going to indicate it's probably in the neighborhood of $60 or $70 million just to keep the building, or get the building operational for the longer term. It's, jails are 3 times the life expectancy, or the life use of a traditional facility. It's 30 years old. That basically makes it 100 years old. It's been overused. We have 4 elevators. Today there's 1 working.
How many floors is the CJC?
7.
It's 7 floors.
It's 6 housing, but I mean 7 total floors. But it's got so many problems, and I worked there in the 80s, and we had 2,000 inmates and 300 beds, and we did much better at getting the inmate numbers down, but the facilities are terrible, to be honest with you. The plumbing is an issue. Our fire safety system is basically you walk down the hallway and make sure there's not a fire, come back and report and log that. Today that's just so out of touch with the way it should be. And so there's all sorts of issues around that, and we've known this for years, of trying to get eventually get it evaluated as to what do you want to do. Does the city want to spend money in reinvesting in it? My office sits over 500 other inmates down at the Hill building, and that building is a grocery warehouse. And so, we've been waiting for years to try to figure out what the long-range plan for the system is, and the Mayor Dean, a couple of years ago, funded a study, and the study started. Now it's all coming to a head, and it's always been my position that most cities do not stay in the downtown urban area that do what I do. It's not the best use for that land. It's not the best way to design a facility. You do not want high-rise institutions. That's not very good to operate. Just put it to you this way: our kitchen's on the bottom floor. All the folks and all the plumbing and all the stuff that goes in plumbing is on the upper floors, and you just can't manage it that way. And you don't want elevators. You want sight lines where you can see inmates and people in the hallways. Buildings that are built on top of one another really prevent most of that. It's very difficult to manage it. Very to me, it's not cost effective the way you design them. So the city is going to have to make a decision, and my position is that we do not need to stay in the downtown area. The study is to have evaluated multiple sites in the city where would be the best location if you wanted to move or if you wanted to stay. It's always been my theory that the report will say something to the effect of the cost to move and the cost to stay downtown are virtually the same. What does the city want to do? Because you can basically build new facilities for what you can renovate.
Is that for real? You think so?
And here's a couple of reasons for that. Is the expense. I mean, just to put it in perspective, the plumbing alone is $30 million estimated, because you have to take it all out because it was built in '82 and put in new PVC in housing unit after housing unit after housing unit. Guess what? You have to move the inmates to do that. It's about $7 million a year just to move the inmates while you're doing it. So it's a very expensive way to renovate, as I like to say, and put lipstick on a pig. I mean, you're cleaning up a building that really even still wouldn't be in the best location.
Now, what was the site? Okay, Joe mentioned, we've heard going out in Harding.
Harding, yeah.
Okay, so is that city land out there that we're looking at? All right, what do you imagine, and I know this wouldn't ultimately obviously be your call, but let's say you did move out there, would the city then maybe sell the land that this is on if you raise the jail down here to private, or is that something that some other city buildings, which I doubt, that's not the purpose down here.
Yeah.
That'd be great to put some kind of, I don't know what could go there, but a lot of commercial property would be interested in that area. Then.
Right, yeah, I mean, with this side of town.
Well, if they sold that for big money, that could help pay for whatever you're doing out at Harding.
Right, well, the city, and keep going. I mean, don't keep in mind, if you move me out of here on city property somewhere else, whatever goes in here starts affecting the tax rolls. I mean, then not only are you building a new facility, if it's a private facility, whatever that is, but they're having to pay taxes right now. We're on valuable property.
Very valuable, which again, you too see, that literally is pretty easy walking distance from there to the new baseball stadium.
I can see it from my desk.
You can see the baseball. I'm just saying with the development that's happened here, and you would think if you had, because frankly, you know, around the baseball stadium right now, there's not a lot of restaurant.
Right.
You know, real close. What if something opened there that had a?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's pie in the sky, but I think it's a good idea. Now, does this mayor? Are you talking about this during the budget hearing? This
is today.
It'll be brought up now. If there's a new jail to be had, it'll probably come to fruition under the next mayor, don't you think?
Well, the funding to do whatever we're going to have to do is almost going to happen now. I mean, if you stay downtown, my estimate is somewhere around $100 million.
Okay.
It will probably cost you to do downtown renovation. I mean, you got one building is $53 million alone. We believe that's the early estimates, and $7 or $8 million just to move the inmates while you're doing it. Then there's 10 or 12 million in another building. So it's in the tens of millions of dollars to renovate downtown. You can't do nothing. You have to do one of these two options.
Sure, because I mean, if someone right now is a taxpayer out there saying, gosh, that's a lot of money with everything else we're doing, can't we just, like you said, slap some lipstick on a pig and just, how much longer? What do you worry is going to happen if nothing is done, or for some reason they just put a Band-Aid on it? Do you worry there's going to be some massive fire that's going to kill a bunch of people? Do you worry that there's going to be some kind of sewage breakdown where literally all the toilets stop working? What do you think?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times a year right now, just on the plumbing alone, we have to shut the entire system down. I mean, we can't book people, we can't house people. I was over there last week presenting service pins to employees, and I'm not exaggerating. I stepped over 2 buckets in a hallway, the main hallway in the public area, where stuff is running down the walls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just bad, Nick. It's not. And by the way, that's not a brand new problem. It's been there's been Band-Aids forever. It's been held together that way. The building is overused. It needs, and has been. It needs, and it's going to have to take a serious commitment one way or the other. The mayor has committed to doing something to fix the problem, and I believe the ultimate response is going to be, does the city need us downtown? The reality is no. The technology is today that you move the people away from the city. You don't want to drive down here as we do now, bring dangerous folks all over the streets of Nashville. Much prefer to get them in a controlled environment. And technology, you don't even bring the prisoner a lot of times anymore to the courts until it's a trial. We need to get to where that is. The cities like Nashville are ahead of us. They've done that out in the suburbs, basically, and leave the core city function down here, but not housing people. It's too expensive, it's too dangerous, and quite frankly, you know, I'm not the land planner, but because Nashville's direction it's heading, we're in the wrong location for the city's development too. So it's the right time. The mayor's committed to doing something. The report's going to give the options. I believe all indications should be that we should back up and get what I believe would be one campus of our environment, everything we do.
All out there. And so you'll talk about it this morning.
Yes.
Or how long did the budget hearings for you? Is it just
45
today?
minutes. Oh, they run all week. But,
all week, but
public safety is this morning.
Is
Please
this
follow
morning?
us. Yes.
So you'll hit on that, and then you think you guys will revisit all this or have some special meetings once this report comes in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
Which you think you know what's going to be in there. And
yeah, we've talked to them. They haven't provided the report, but I know clearly what the cost is. They've talked about, oh my gosh, and their own, you know, it's a very, very, you know, volatile, if you will, right now. If we don't do something, I think the word was it's at end of life. The facility's at its end of life.
How old is it again?
It was built in '82, and keep in mind, you times 3, you really do. It's 100 years old.
Yeah, things age fast.
The way that we
dog years.
Yeah.
All right, listen, we got to take a break on that note. When we come back, if you want to jump in, any general questions, whatever you'd like, 737-7587. The sheriff's with us. We'll continue our conversation right after this. Stay with us.